Hi everyone, I'm MaryAnn. I'm a visual artist and voice coach from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to another installment of my Live Your Dreams weekly vlog series. I know it's a mouthful. I'm still figuring out if that's the real, tagline that I want to have in these videos, because I guess it's something that from week to week I'm just going to experiment until I find what works. But that's not the point here. The point here is to share whatever it is that I have learned in my journey so far as an artist, as a person who is all about living my dreams and pursuing whatever it is that really matters to me, and creating a worthy and meaningful purpose for myself. And what I'm starting to realize about these vlogs is that whatever it is that I've learned or realized this week, I would like to share that with you in the hopes that it can also help you in your journey of pursuing your dreams and going after what matters to you and creating that worthy and meaningful purpose for yourself. So, if this is the first time that you are tuning in, not to worry, there is a whole bunch of other videos in this vlog series. Well, there's only 3 right now, but last year I did a 100-day vlogging project, and you can also find that in my YouTube channel, I think under a different playlist. But essentially this is where I'm sharing what I've learned along my journey, and I hope that it really helps you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. So last week I shared about love and about how it's important to take some time to show love to yourself, because if you can't show love to yourself in the little things in your life, in the little everyday instances of your life, it's going to be really, really hard to show yourself love when it comes to pursuing something greater. And that's really what I wanted to focus on today. The kind of love that we need in order for us to really push ourselves to pursue what really matters to us. Because the thing is, when there is something that really, really matters to you, when there is something that you really want, not because someone says you should want it, not because someone says life should be a certain way and therefore you should want certain things like more money or successful career. I mean, not that these things are bad, but it's more like you don't want them just because someone says you should. It's really about connecting to what really matters to you and figuring out what you want and what really matters to you, regardless of what anyone else says. And finding that is really, really tough. It's not that easy, even though it sounds like, pursue your dreams, go after what you're passionate about. Like, it's really easy to say those words, but the actual journey of living that out is far from easy. And I know this firsthand from, doing my first solo exhibition 8 years ago, which was the fulfillment of my childhood dream that I had forgotten. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do at that time. And even a couple of years ago when I went to Europe to paint dream tree murals, that was one of the hardest things I had to do at that time as well. And so what I'm saying is that, it really takes a certain kind of love that allows you to push yourself to the limit, that kind of forces you to keep going no matter how tiring it gets, no matter how many challenges come up, all because you have a certain vision and you're not going to settle for anything less until you fulfill that vision. And I know it's human nature to want to take shortcuts, to want to rest, when it's not time to rest yet, because it's hard, it's difficult. And as humans, we're not exactly built to be very strong people, even though we are stronger than we know. But there's so many resistances that we have that prevent us from really becoming that. And why I share this week is because my teacher, the same one who asked me that question last week about when's the last time I did something that really showed love for myself, he shared with me about this box that he had made over the weekend when he was leading this program. And I was there as an assistant, and he was showing me this box that he had made. So a little bit of background about my teacher. He is someone who has mastered many different areas of skill sets, of knowledge, and he's able to see a lot of the linkages between them and therefore create new ideas and new products because of all these connections that he's made thanks to his mastery in those areas. So not going to get too much into the details, but basically he is the kind of person that if he wants something, he would do whatever it takes to find a way to create that thing or to get that thing, whether he has to make it with his bare hands or whether he has to travel to the far ends of the earth, to acquire whatever he needs to make it or to acquire that thing itself. So this box that he showed me with something that he made, and I asked him, what inspired him to make this box. And he was telling me that he was looking for a box that could store one of the tools that he uses in one of the areas of his work. And no matter where he went around the world, because he travels quite extensively too, he could never find a box that could fit what he needed and what he was looking for. Like a lot of times, he would find something really close, but there would always be an element about it that was missing. And after a couple of years of searching and trying to find it online and going out there into the world to see what was available and asking his friends, I'm assuming that that's what he would have done. I don't know the reality of that, but that's what I'm assuming. He did whatever he could to find such a box. He concluded that, if I really want this box, I'm just going to have to make it myself. And that's what he did. He made this box that he needs for that tool that he needed to store in that box. And I was really impressed by that, because knowing myself, what I got from this conversation with him was that I probably would have settled for a box that maybe met the 90% of my requirements. Or if I could find something, if let's say, I searched high and low and I found 10 options and the closest one was maybe 60%, I probably would have just settled for that, thinking that, I'll get another, I'll find, when I come across a better one, then, I will replace it. But he was someone who was hard set on I need this box, 100% of my requirements need to be fulfilled by this box. And because he couldn't find it, he decided to make it. And this reminded me of how there's so many times in my life where I settle for less than what I want. Where, even for example, my dream tree project. And I'm sharing this very bravely because I normally don't like to share, these sort of the more negative sides of myself. Or as I perceive them to be negative, because they may not actually be negative, but I'm kind of hard on myself sometimes. So, for example, with my dream tree murals, there were some instances where, because of the time constraints, because I was only at a place for a certain amount of time, instead of really finding the kind of wall that I wanted, I did the best that I could in the time that I had to find the best wall for the project. There were some instances where I just settled for what was available instead of pushing for something that I really wanted. And while, on paper, because I've done the thing, I take pictures of it, no one can tell exactly where these walls are located. But to be honest, some of these places that I went to and some of these walls that I painted were not the most ideal that I wanted for my project. They may not have been in high traffic areas where people could see the wall and connect to the meaning behind it. Or sometimes the texture of the wall is just not that great. And while it was challenging at that point in time, because it also, it's also about me building my skill set, when I look back now, there's a part of me that realizes I could have done better. I could have did I really do my best to push for something closer to what I wanted, given the time constraints? And so with this conversation with my teacher, I was very present to how I often sacrifice my own standards, because I think that somehow there's a part of me that thinks that I only deserve to get 60% of what I want. That 100% is way too good for me and I'm not worthy of that for whatever reason. And so I settle. And this is something that isn't just in the areas of me pursuing my dream or even in my 100 Dream Trees project. Even in my romantic relationships, that has happened as well, where in the the long-term relationships that I've had, I settled for those guys because they were really nice, because for whatever reason they were really into me, and I was just kind of lukewarm. But I was also at that point in time feeling like, I'm just tired of this whole dating thing and, there's this nice guy, they're not bad looking, they're really into me, and I would just settle for them. And I would only realize years later that that's really what happened, that I was never crazy about them to begin with, and so the relationship would end anyway, among other reasons, of course. So the main thing that I'm saying today is how, when it comes to love, how much do we really love ourselves that we would not stand for something that's lower than our standards? And it's not about perfectionism in this instance. It's more, how hard are you willing to push yourself to get to the outcome that you want? And how much are you willing to put in, and how much effort and time and energy and focus are you willing to put into whatever it is that you're doing, so that you can make it the best that it can be. Because even that comes from a place of love as well. That, do you love yourself enough to see that you deserve the best for yourself, and to love yourself enough also to put in that effort and time and energy, and to really push yourself and relentlessly just keep going for it and going towards that goal until you make it happen, and you make that big dream come true, or you fulfill that purpose that you've always wanted, and you create that life that you've always envisioned for yourself, and you settle for nothing less than that. So if you have enjoyed today's video, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. There's going to be more of these kinds of sharing over the next few weeks. Hopefully I would keep this up for the entire year. I intend to keep this up for the entire year, because after whatever I just said, I realized that I also have to push myself and put in my best effort into these vlogs as well, and to keep them going no matter how I feel tired and uninspired or whatever excuses that I give myself. Nope, I'm gonna continue these vlogs at least until the end of this year and keep them going, because it is really my passion, and to share whatever I've learned with you, because I think we could all benefit from exchanging our ideas and our experiences and learning from each other. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can directly message me through any of my social media links, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week.